We miss a lot in our reading of the Bible. In Exodus 32, we learn about the golden calf. And so it talks about Aaron, what he did, creating it. They have a big party. They start sacrificing. And then it says, and the Lord said to Moses, all right, go get down for your people. So God no longer is God's people. It's now Moses' people. So God has distanced himself from the people whom I've brought out of the land of Egypt. They have corrupted themselves. They have turned aside quickly out of the way which I have commanded them. They have made themselves a molten calf and worshipped it and sacrificed it to it and said, this is your God, O Israel, that brought you out of the land of Egypt. All right, and so it says there. Then it says, and the Lord said to Moses. Well, the Lord just said to Moses. But now he's saying to Moses again, so there's a pause. So he's laid out the accusation that he has against the people. Mm-hmm. Now he pauses and he waits for Moses to say something, and Moses doesn't say a word. And he said everything that they did and what the accusation is he has against them, and he said. Do you see that?
I see it.
As we read it, we just skip over it. But when we see, he said one thing, he waited for the retort never happened, because you can't defend what they did because what they did was wrong.
Was evil,
okay? And then he says, and the Lord said to Moses. And now he's laying down, he laid down the accusation, and now he's laying down the judgment. Okay? It says, I have seen the people, and indeed is a stiff-necked people. Now therefore let me alone. He's telling Moses, go away from me so that I can do evil to them, okay? Let me alone that my wrath may burn hot against them and I may consume them, and I will make you a great nation, okay? And so now he's saying, all right, if you walk away from me right now, I'm going to destroy them. So he's given Moses a choice, and Moses picked up on it.
Yeah, who else?
Okay? Now, this exact same wording was given, okay, to Noah. Noah left him alone. And the world was destroyed. Wow. The same exact wording was given to Noah. And it's actually in Noah's name. The Noah, it's in there. He says, my wrath. Leave me alone and watch my wrath. So Moses picked up on it because he already knew what happened with Noah. And so now he goes, okay, whoa. I'm gonna hang out here for a little bit. And so now, and he says, I'll make a great nation. Then Moses speaks, okay, and pleads with the Lord. And he said, pled with the Lord his God and said, why does your wrath burn hot against your people whom you've brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? He asked him why. Why is he mad at him? He just told him why he was mad at him. But there's two words for the word why in Hebrew. The first word is the way we read it. Why are you angry? Well, he just told you why he was angry. The other why is, to what end will you pursue your anger?
Wow.
And so he said, we read it as why because we speak English, we don't speak Hebrew. Why are you upset? Well, we only have one word for why. They have two words for why. Why being what led us to where we are, and what is the first one. And then what is the extent you're going to do about it? How far are you willing to go with your anger? And so he's pausing with God, and he's having a battle of wits with God. Okay?
Having a battle with God.
And then he uses God's own words against him so that he can't destroy the people. Okay? He says, why should the Egyptians speak and say he brought them out of harm just to kill them in the mountains and consume them with the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath and relent from, and again, relent, okay, is the same word that was also used back in the Noah story, the parallel, from the harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, who you swore by your own self and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven, and in this land that I have spoken of, I give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. And so, because he used his own word against him, it then says, so the Lord relented from the harm which he would do to his people. And at that point in time is when Moses left. If Moses would have left immediately before he got down to the bottom of the mountain, they would have all been destroyed.
Yeah.
But he picked up when he said, leave me, but he didn't leave. He didn't speak to defend them because there's nothing to defend. Everything they did was 100% wrong. Okay? Everything they did was wrong. But he said, leave me. And once he said, leave me, he picked up, if I stay, you're not going to destroy them. So what can I do? So now I'm gonna question you. I'm gonna debate you. I'm gonna cause you to think about your actions before you do those actions. Okay, and we talked earlier, only people that have a personal relationship with God are the ones that can intervene on someone else's behalf. Okay, Abraham intervened for Sodom and Gomorrah for Lot's behalf. Okay, he got all the way down. He started at 50, he got all the way down to 10. If you go back and you read the Jewish text, they say that Lot had 4 daughters. 2 were already married, so they weren't in his house. But his influence should have been enough to turn their husbands to follow Lot when he left. Okay, to follow. So there's a 10. All right, and then the other 2 were engaged to be married. So because that's why he stopped at 10. Because he's like, obviously, I've invested enough in Lot. Abraham felt he invested enough into Lot that where he would be able to impact the lives of the people that his children were involved with. But he didn't. You got to be careful around your surroundings. So here we are. We have a nation that is wanting to put things in that are a complete total abomination to the Lord with H.R. 1 and H.R. 5, to change people's identity, to cause confusion so they don't know who they are and what they're doing. And it's the exact same thing that happened all throughout history. So now what we have not talked about is the reading in Kings that's this week. And the reading in Kings this week is Elijah versus all the prophets of Baal. That's our reading this week. And where we're at with that. So let me pull that up real quick and we'll talk about that briefly here.
Isn't that neat? I never saw some of that. And I'm like, oh, wow.
Isn't that good?
That is good. And there's so much we miss because we don't speak Hebrew. But Chris actually takes back, and he listens to a bunch of different rabbis, but then he also takes words back to the original Hebrew. And that's where we find out different meanings that we lose.
So we all agree that Ahab was the evil king.
Yes.
We all agree that his wife Jezebel was the influence behind the king that caused him to do evil things. Okay?
Yes.
And so then we start in 1 Kings 18. We'll pick up at the 3rd verse. It says, and Ahab called Obadiah, who was in charge of his house. Now, Obadiah feared the Lord greatly. Okay, so this is someone that's serving the king, but's a godly man. You can be a godly person and be in government. You can be a godly person and serve and wait for the opportunity for God to use you in a mighty way. And that's exactly what this man was doing, okay? He feared the Lord greatly, so it was while Jezebel massacred the prophets of the Lord that Obadiah had taken 100 of the prophets and hid them 50 and one to a cave, and he fed them with bread and water daily. Okay? So he's inside working as a secret agent for the Lord, removing the evil that they're trying to do.
Yes.
Okay? So that's what he's doing. Then we'll just fast forward down a little bit. So and everyone said, if you see Elijah, and Ahab had told everyone, if you see Elijah, let me know. We're going to kill him. There's a warrant out to kill Elijah anytime he shows up. And they would go and look for him in one place, and he would disappear. And he'd go look for him in another place, and he would disappear. And he was like he had this supernatural ability to just get away every time they came. And so then Elijah appears to Obadiah and says, tell your master to come talk with me. And he's like, I ain't doing that. Every single person that's ever said that to you, he's ended up having his wrath come upon him because you disappear every time. And he says, I swear by the Lord, I will not disappear this time. And this is where he challenges 850 prophets of Baal and of Asherah, and he challenges them to do this thing, okay? Now, one person made a difference and saved 100 prophets. One person, okay? One person, Moses, saved a nation by debating God, okay? One person made a difference. All it takes is one person.
Yeah.
Okay, one person can save 100 prophets. One person can save an entire nation if they have a relationship with the Lord, okay? Then it happened when Ahab saw Elijah, and Ahab said to him, it is that you, O troubler of Israel, okay? So now what is one party doing to the other? They're saying the Christians are the problem. They're saying the Republicans are the problem. You guys are the troublemakers. You're the ones causing all the trouble. But here's the response. And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house have, in that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord and have followed the Baals. Now, therefore, send and gather all of Israel to Mount Carmel, 450 prophets of Baal and 400 prophets of Asherah, and who eat at Jezebel's table. And so he's challenging them to see whose God is God.
Yep.
Okay?
All these prophets.
It's parallel, and the story is parallel, and we're seeing the same thing. We have two parties, okay? And in those parties are split. You have Democrats and you have socialist Democrats. They're split, but they're in the same camp. You see what I'm saying? So it's identical, exactly what's happening. And the one person that stands up, and the one person that everyone hates and can't stand, in our modern day time, it would be like a Donald Trump. That everyone hates and can't stand, as they're searching for and they're trying to get rid of and do whatever they can to find him and remove him. Sound familiar, guys? History's playing out itself again here in the text in the time in which we read them, okay? And then a sacrifice is made, an unholy sacrifice to the wrong God, and then a proper sacrifice to the real God. The fake God didn't show up. He never once showed up. They screamed all day long, they danced, they cut themselves, they bled themselves, they did every demonic thing that happened with another cow a few centuries before. But this cow was golden, and this cow is an actual sacrifice to the God. Do you see it? Do you see the parallel? Then he waited all day long, he cut his into pieces, he took the only, and at this point in time, it had not rained for 3 years. Had not rained for 3 years in the area. And then he took the only most valuable resource and he poured it around the altar. He poured it onside the sacrifice. He did it 3 times to saturate it, to make sure that when everyone saw that it caught fire, that it was only an act of God that could cause it to happen. Okay? It's exciting. I don't know about you. If I saw something poured water on and all of a sudden it caught on fire by itself, that would be pretty,
from heaven.
Pretty impressive. Okay? Then he separates and leaves himself, leaves them when that happens, and he's in a place of prayer, and he refuses to look at any distraction. So he uses his servant to go, do you see any clouds yet? Do you see any clouds yet? He comes back, no. Do you see any clouds yet? No. Do you see any clouds yet? No. He never once looked himself. He used somebody else and allowed them to be the one that saw it. So that way he was focused on the task at hand. He stayed in the place of prayer. He stayed in the place of focus. He stayed where he was supposed to be. And then once he was in the place he was supposed to be, and the servant went the last time, he says, I see a cloud the size of a man's hand. He didn't need a hurricane. He didn't need gale force winds. He didn't need anything massive. He just needed to know there was one cloud in the sky the size of a man's hand. That's all it took. And once he knew the cloud was there the size of a man's hand, he told his servant to go tell Ahab to get back to his home before it came down. Otherwise, he wasn't going to make it. And then he runs and beats him there before the rain comes. And the rain comes. So guys, we don't need some big, massive, crazy thing to happen. We just need a little small thing. But we got to stop putting our eyes on the media. We got to start putting our eyes in the places that distract us, that prevent us from being from the place we're supposed to be, but to keep us in the place. And go, has it happened yet? No. Okay, I stay focused. Has it happened yet? No. I stay focused. I keep praying. It doesn't matter what the media says. It doesn't matter what happened. My eyes are closed. I'm focused. I'm steadfast because I'm seeing what's happening before it happens. I'm decreeing and declaring what is yet to come. And nothing's going to deter me because I'm not looking to the left. I'm not looking to the right. I'm not distracted in any way. I'm steadfast on what the Lord said. The Lord said the rain was coming after the sacrifice. He said, after I've just demonstrated who I am, tell them it's coming, and I've opened up the heavens again, and it will rain. Stay focused.
When did he kill the prophets?
Right after the sacrifice.
Before this.
Before this.
Yeah. So all the prophets died.
So they're out of the way.
Yeah.
But still, distractions are there.
Yeah.
And so it's important that we stay focused. What did the Lord say? The Lord said, through the prophets, that Trump would be president and is president. That's what they said. He spoke clearly to them. And what do we hear? We hear this over here, and we see that over there, and we're doing this constantly. Instead of doing this and staying focused. Staying focused and staying steadfast. And I want to encourage you today, you can make a difference.
Yes.
Whether you're believing for this nation, whether you're believing for a loved one where we're putting the names down and doing the things here, lifting them up, whatever it is, you can stand in the gap and you can be the one that ushers in change.
Yeah.
You can be the one to save a nation. You can be the one to save a family member because you steadfast, and it does not matter what you heard about your family member. It does not matter what you know is really going on. As long as you stay fast and stay focused and know what the Lord has said, that He created them from the foundation of the world, that He knew them when He formed them in their mother's womb.
Yeah.
That He came to give them life and give it to abundantly. And He has a plan and a purpose for them, not of destruction, not of harm, but of prosperity and blessings to increase them for a plan and purpose that He has. He has that for each individual person, and He has that for this nation. And you can stand in the gap. But you got to spend time. You got to turn everything off that's telling you just the opposite of what He's saying. You got to turn everything off, and you get steadfast and focused and know that He will do exactly what He said He will do. And how do you do that? You turn the TV off. You go in the prayer closet. You spend time. You cry out. And it's not a wish list of what you desire and what you look forward to have happen. It's not a want list of everything that you lack and ask Him to give to you. What it is a time of saying, what is it that you desire, Lord, that I can cry out? That's what a prophet does. A prophet doesn't say what they desire to say. A prophet, a person of God, cries out and says what the Lord has them say. And sometimes it makes absolutely no sense. And sometimes it's contrary to everything else that you see going on. But it brings in change when we decree and declare what He desires and not a wish list. And I encourage you with that today.